I'm guessing no one has ever cleaned the floors in this place because when the guys were done rolling around, they were covered in dirt and hair. As a punishment for trashing the cabin, Mr. Jefferson made us go to bed early, and and he lumped me in with everyone else, even though I didn't go anything. And that's how we ended up going to bed while it was still light out on the first night. Mr. Jefferson woke everybody up at the crack of dawn and said we all needed to take showers before breakfast. That's when it co- that's when it that's when it occurred occurred
Occurred.
occurred. That's when it occurred to me that there wasn't actually a shower in our bathroom. The shower was on the outside of the cabin, and the water was in the metal tub we filled up in the brigade yesterday. In the
Bucket brigade.
bucket brigade yesterday. I seem to be the only. I'm. s- I'm seemed. I seemed to be the only one who remembered what was in that tub, because everyone else got in line to take their turn. Not only was the water unsanitary, but apparently it was cold too. Screech! I came prepared though. I definitely, I defin, definitely, I definitely wasn't gonna be taking any outdoor showers on this trip, but I could still keep myself clean. Go away. Breakfast wasn't a whole lot better than our first two meals, but at least they weren't serving the stew, the stew,
Stew.
stew,
Stew. Stew.
serving the stew. The pancakes were hard as rocks. The pancakes were hey, the pancakes were has the pancakes were hard. The pancakes were hard as rocks though, and they break your teeth if you tried to bite through to and they break down and they break and they break your teeth if you try to bite through one. Emilio snuck a pancake into his pocket so he could mail it home to his mom and show her how bad the food was at the camp. After we cleaned up from breakfast, Mrs. Graciano told us the plan of the day. She said we were gonna do the same types of, of chores done by the kids growing up on farms like this a long time ago. Mrs. Graciano said that in the old days, kids worked from the time they got up in the morning until the sun went down, and they had to start working as soon as they were old enough to help their families out. Which is just another reason I'm glad I wasn't alive back then. My group started off in the barn, and our job was to move bales of hay from one end of the building to the other. It was seriously hard, and I have a lot of respect for kids who had to do that kind of work every day. When we were finished, everybody felt a huge sense of accomplishment. As we were leaving to move on the next station, Mr. Ross's group came into the barn. He told his team their job was to move the hay bales to the other side, which was where they were to begin with, which was which was where they were to begin with. So don't even ask me why we went to all that trouble. See, you should you shouldn't do that kind of stuff to a kid. When I was a when I was in first grade, my teacher told me she was sending me on a secret mission, and she gave me a note to deliver to another teacher down the hall. The hall. And every day after that, my teacher handed me another note to deliver. Well, one day I got curious about what was in those. Well, one day I got curious about what was in those notes, and I opened one up, but it was blank inside. Blank inside. It turns out mom had to. It turns out It turns out mom had told my teacher she was worried about my self-esteem, and the whole secret mission thing was just a way to make me feel important, important. So if anyone wants to know have why I have a hard time taking work seriously, that's how I start. Our team spent the rest of the our team spent the rest of the morning going through the other stations. We painted a fence, we put a stone wall, and stacked firewood outside the main lodge.